arguably might be game of the week, the Vikings and the Packers. The Packers are too far out to win this division. It was a big win against the Dolphins in big fashion, and the Packers believe they can win. Do you think they will?
Now, this is going to be so hard to call because, like, the Vikings are in so many close games. Like, it doesn't matter who they play; they're in close games. They could be down 33 points; they're still only going to win by 3. So,
I'd like to jump in here and say, out of their 12 wins, 11 of them have been by less than 7 points, which they broke the NFL record. The NFL record was 10 games, and this weekend they broke it. They're 11-0 in games with less than 1 score. Hats off to them. It doesn't matter whether you win by 100 or 1. I mean, a win's a win. So it's a bright time for Vikings fans. I just want to throw that tidbit of information out there.
yeah, absolutely, and that's important to note because the great teams, the truly great teams, figure out how to win in tough moments, and we've just seen that constantly from the Vikings. When they get down, like they've been down multiple scores to multiple teams this year and won by 1 score because when it mattered most, Kirk Thuggins and this offense in a historically great Justin Jefferson, you can't forget about him. They are making things happen when it matters most. It's just that's why it's hard to pick against them. But then you look at the Packers, and why is it going to be hard to pick against them? Because even as bad as the Packers were this year, we're almost to the end of December, and you look at the record that they've had every year since Matt LaFleur showed up. And Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers are 15-0 in December. That's when the games matter the most. And when they needed it the most this year, they're winning games. And they need a lot of help, but all the teams that they needed to lose this weekend, they lost this weekend. So, you talk about football gods. If the football gods are going to favor anybody, it's going to be the Packers. When you look at this game, it's so hard for me to pick. I really enjoy both of these teams. I hope both these teams make the playoffs. So that might be what goes into my decision. At the end of the day, I think the Packers, I think my bias kicking in. I want the Packers to win. But because all these close games have happened, and like Kirk Thuggins is a good story, but Aaron Rodgers is on the other side. And he's looked real good, especially since that bye week. And that offense has looked good. They've gotten healthy. That's the one thing with the Packers that is dangerous about them right now is the fact that they were able to get all these different pieces they were missing throughout the year back in their lineup. And it showed up week to week, especially on the defensive side, which was trash, but has looked pretty good of late. So I think they'll be able to contain the Vikings offense, but I want to see what you think.
So you brought up a lot of really good points that I want to kind of pull all together. All right. The Vikings have won 11 of their games by less than 1 score. And it doesn't matter because they got the W. But it doesn't matter if you win all 16 games and you don't win the last one. It doesn't matter how many games the Vikings win. Once you get to the playoffs, it doesn't matter how many games you won. That's it. It's over. So none of that shit matters. All right. You mentioned the Packers are 15-0 in December when it counts. LaFleur has shown that he can coach in this league. He's made some terrible mistakes in the playoffs, and a good coach learns from those mistakes and builds on them and eventually wins in the playoffs. And Rodgers knows his clock is ticking. He knows it's ticking. He doesn't want to go out like this. So I expect Rodgers to be completely on top of his game. When we talk about the mental standpoint, you got the Vikings who are excited they're winning, but they're waiting to lose, right? Right? They're like, we're not used to this winning shit. We've been getting better at it, but they're afraid things are going to come apart at the seams. And when they keep winning these close games, they're doing 2 things. They're building their resilience that they can win when it matters, but they're setting themselves up for disappointment when it doesn't work. When they do lose, they take a huge mental hit that's hard to override. On the flip side, the Packers are used to winning. This is familiar territory. It's historically familiar territory. They got history on their side. They've got fan base on their side. They've got win-loss records. They got Super Bowl rings on their side. They know that they expect to win. I believe the Packers expect to win this game, and the Vikings are hoping to win this game. And when you mix that with the fact that the Packers, we haven't talked about the P word, that the Packers are starting to peak at the right time, they may now be the most dangerous team in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like last year's version of what the Colts were. Everybody was talking about if they get in, watch out. Nobody wants to play this team. Like, if this Packers team gets in, especially Quay Walker, I was talking about the injuries, people coming back from injury for the Packers, getting the rookie Quay Walker back. Like, during that Dolphins game, I noticed him all day long. Like you can just you see him all around the ball. So I think the Packers are a very, very dangerous team. And at the end of the day, like it's hard to not pick Aaron Rodgers in this situation. Really hard not to pick Aaron Rodgers in this situation.
I agree. I
But
agree. And for anybody listening, I want to make it clear. You and I just talked about like yesterday or the day before that the three teams I would choose in the NFC right now are the Niners, the Eagles. All right, I got to go with four: the Niners, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Vikings. Okay, I'll say that all day long. But this Packers team is dangerous, and everybody better be on notice because they will sneak up and bite you when you're not looking.
yeah, and the Vikings better hope that they do it this week because the Vikings are not going to want to meet the Packers in the playoffs. Like if they lose this game and the Packers get that confidence that they can beat them again, like going to Minnesota, they won't care. Like Aaron Rodgers, you just can't bet against a guy like that. Just like you can't bet against Bill Belichick at this time of year. Like it's hard to bet against Rodgers this time of year. But that extra juice that they have to have, like you would mention how, Minnesota just waiting to lose and how these guys aren't used to win in these situations. There's one guy on that team I'm a massive fan of. I talk about him so much. And I think having him on that team and being probably the leader of this team, he gives the juice to this team, is Justin Jefferson. I think the mindset that he has and what he brings to this team is like, as long as you have that dude, you always have a shot because the dog that's in him goes to the rest of the team. So I think what's at stake this week, they have a chance to put away the Packers. Like you got to think about the history of this. The Packers have dominated the NFC North from Brett Favre into Aaron Rodgers. Like it's been, and even before that, you can go down the entire history of the Packers and the Vikings. But so there's a lot riding, and they can put the Packers away in this one and basically make it, guaranteed the Packers aren't going to the playoffs. So with that juice and with the dudes that they have on that team, Justin Jefferson leading the way, go ahead and give me the Minnesota Vikings to win this game this week.
Okay, and that's a good point. The Vikings playoffs start right now, and the best way to do it is to knock your nemesis out of the way, get them out of the future. They can't come back and bite you in the next month, and you take mentally you take a step up and prepare for the playoffs. I'm taking the Packers. I just can't. I mean, I love what the Vikings are doing. We've talked about that. I'd love to see the Vikings in the Super Bowl. I don't know, man. Going into Green Bay and after what the Packers did yesterday, and they're feeling it. This is a big game. I'm taking the Packers, but I'm going to watch because either team can win this game, and I hope it's as good a game and as we think it's going to be.
Yeah, and again, with the Vikings playing so many close games, like it feels like any Vikings game you watch is probably going to be a good game. And I would love to know what you think about this game, what you think is going to happen, who you think is going to win. You let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you for the next video.